Tip number 1, biological damage is your friend in any run, particularly in the early to mid rounds. This is because the nature of the wave compositions includes many clots, cysts, gorefasts, sirens, and scrakes, which are all weak to bio damage. This means that setting up a weapon with acidic rounds or biological based weapon damage is a very strong play. If your class doesn't have access to this from the get-go, simply set up a low cost loadout that uses just acidic rounds and grab it at the start of round 2. This will make your life much easier. I have got a really tasty loadout combo that will allow you to deal with any enemy type the game throws at you. More on that later, folks. Lean into enemy weaknesses as much as possible to not only make your life easier, but also for better ammo economy. You can find a plethora of information within the codex that breaks down not only the strengths and weaknesses of each enemy, but it also gives useful tips and tricks around how to deal with them individually. Take the Scrake, for example. If you break the chainsaw armor or the mask, you will expose more weak spots, allowing for faster takedown. This is caveated by the fact that they enrage from sustaining damage, which means it boosts nearby Zeds and marks you for slaughter. Fleshpounds share similar behaviors, becoming enraged and moving faster and dealing more damage. Once you destroy their chest weak spots, they can be executed, which is definitely one of the best plays for dealing with these suckers. Study this codex. It will educate you on the nuances of the game and the enemies, and ultimately you'll be able to deal with enemies quicker, make your shots count, and end up with even more dosh over time. Arming yourself with this knowledge will take things up a notch, but you also need to be aware of how to handle yourself on the battlefield. Killing floor 3 punishes you very quickly for mistakes, so make sure your positioning is top notch. Always keep moving, avoid backing yourself into a corner, always have an escape plan. All too many times I went down because I thought I could outgun a seemingly small group of Zeds, only to find myself overwhelmed by a couple of husks cheekily jetpacking in from behind me. As you play the game, take mental notes of spawn locations such as vents or channels which enemies can wander down. This allows you to position yourself to deal with threats before they even really get a chance to spawn, or, on the other hand, allow you to make informed decisions about which route to take when kiting enemies. The last thing you want is to run into even more enemies when you're on the back foot. Whip out your knife to run faster and use the slide and dodge mechanic to your advantage. Dodge attacks, create space, break sight lines, force enemies to take certain routes. And on the topic of forcing enemies to take certain routes and kiting en masse, it's not only a key survival strategy, but it's also an excellent form of attack, provided you have a multi-tool. The multi-tool allows you to activate turrets that are located around various locations on the map to provide additional fire support, and you can also turn on environmental hazards such as large fans to dispose of hordes of Zeds with ease. Very nice. You can also open armor crates throughout runs, which is a very welcome thing to have in a pinch. Speaking of armor, do not sleep on upgrading this. The difference between each tier can be massively felt, and as each wave difficulty increases, you come up against vaster groups of even more deadly enemies, and you will find yourself being melted if you are behind the curve. Not taking damage and killing floor 3 is very difficult, and regardless of how carefully you play, you will get hit. It's pure chaos, so you're best being prepared. Calm this chaos as much as possible by utilizing choke points to your advantage. Funneling enemies into doorways and corridors allows specialists to make use of grenades, ultimate abilities, and focused firepower much more effectively. This is particularly insane for AoE playstyles. I'm looking at you, Firebug, in particular. AoE is very strong in this game, and if you are looking for an easy ride, consider focusing on this approach first, as it will let you keep larger groups at bay much more easily as you find your feet. Flamethrowers and such like create carnage for the Zed ranks. On the other hand, if you're a ranged specialist like a sharpshooter or commando, make sure you are dealing with ranged enemies such as husks swiftly. They can sit back and mortar your team and cause considerable damage. Play to both your perk and playstyle strengths at all times, and if you're playing in an organized team, discuss this, especially for the higher difficulties. Who is prioritizing what with which damage types? On that topic, do not sleep on CC, folks. Freezing, electrocuting, stumbling, panicking, and enfeebling, it's all incredibly useful. Make sure to take a look over your passive tree and understand how you can offer CC to your squad. Your squad will love you for it. perhaps almost as much as the medic, which is in my opinion an incredibly clutch and important class. With that being mentioned, everyone has access to the medic pistol, which means you can all chip in with healing if you wish, and what is even more awesome about this is it allows you to gain XP for the medic perk too. In fact, this works for any class, so if you're looking to level up multiple classes simultaneously, using other classes' weapons is a viable choice here. Speaking of leveling, you can level up much quicker if you focus on completing mission assignments, which take the shape of map-specific objectives and also general achievements. Focus on these if you're looking to grind fast. You can get daily and weekly assignments. Keep an eye on them in the main menu, folks. Graphically, this game is insanely demanding, and I've found myself in absolute awe of some of the moment-to-moment spectacles this game creates. It's no wonder we need such incredibly powerful rigs to power our gaming experiences. That's why I'm excited to be partnering with Apex Gaming PCs. If you're thinking about upgrading your setup, Apex Gaming PCs has got you covered. Whether you need a high-powered rig for massively demanding games like Monster Hunter Wilds, or you just want things to run buttery smooth, they've got pre-built and custom systems that can handle it all. Plus, there's some solid discounts going on right now, so if you've even been considering an upgrade, now is a great time to check them out. And don't forget to use code FaZe at checkout for a 5% discount. The links are in the description below. Be sure to take advantage of the weapon modding system as soon as possible, as this is where your true strength and success lies. Modding utilizes the materials that are dropped in each run you complete. These can be obtained randomly from drops off Zeds. For example, Fleshpounds can drop Zed tech. Be on the lookout for horrors indestructibles in missions such as security cameras and monitors. These provide things such as scraps, which are staple in the crafting process. All you need to do is shoot these and you will gain them. When creating loadouts, there are two important aspects to consider. When will you be able to afford buying the loadout in question, and what are the strengths and weaknesses it offers? Building a loadout that can deal with as many enemies as possible is a really strong way to play in the first instance. For example, I have a ballistic and acid round weapon for all enemies except Fleshpounds and husks. For those, I use a sound wave and force weapon. This covers most eventualities, and I also have variants of each weapon which are very cheap with just the ammunition I need to do the damage type, but I can also grab the fully kitted versions that I've created, which are incredibly expensive and require progression steps towards, depending on how much dosh I accumulate throughout the run. I'll be doing a full breakdown of tips and tricks on how to accumulate dosh most effectively, breakdowns of boss fights, along with more intricate build guides and advanced tips in future videos, so be sure to drop the video a like and sub to the channel to keep informed. But I will say this: when you're in boss fights, ensure you spread out for very reasonable distances. Bosses all have very nasty AoE one-shot potential, particularly in higher difficulties. If this lands on 2 or even 3 of you and you get dropped by this, it is so much more difficult to recover from than if one person gets clapped. On that same note, when trying to revive, ensure it's only one person that's doing it as opposed to the whole team, because in a panic moment, everyone becomes a crazy magpie and just dives towards the res, and I've seen this happen so many times. The whole team gets wiped and clapped. It's an absolute nightmare. Check out this next video. It's got you covered. Take care of yourselves. Keep having fun. Come check out a stream on YouTube or Twitch, and I'll see you in the next one.